Let's go and dimension this sketch, and for that purpose I'm going to move on the right hand side of the screen on the toolbar and select this icon called the constraint. When I left click on it once, the constraint icon goes orange, meaning that I am in the constraint mode now, and I can go and dimension my sketch. So say if I want to dimension the width of this horizontal line segment, I can just simply go over it and left click on that line segment once. When I click on it once, CATIA tells me what is its actual length or measurements at this point, and I can move this measurement in the vertical fashion on the screen and place it to my liking. I'm just going to place it over here with another click, another left click, and now dimension can be seen at that location. If I want to change the width of that horizontal line segment, I can go on the dimension, which is 90, and double click on the 90 dimension. CATIA brings up this constraint dialog box in the right hand side corner, and now I can go and dimension it to my liking, and in this case I will make it 75 millimeters. I am working in millimeters for this course and for this example, but you can change the unit of measurement to your liking. So if I go on tools on the menu bar and select options, I get this new window. And on the left hand side, if I go on parameters and measurements, and on the right hand side, if I select the units tab, I can go and change my unit of measurement from millimeters to inches or foot or centimeters, whichever suits my needs. The constraint tool is also a smart and intelligent tool. So for example, if I select the line tool and say I draw a independent line segment, something like that, and also I select the circle tool and I'm just going to draw a circle. And if I select the constraint tool, if I left click on it once and I go on this line segment and left click on it to dimension it, CATIA knows that this line segment is of the linear type and it will give me a linear dimension. Similarly, if I go on the constraint icon one more time and select it by left clicking on it once, and this time when I select this circle, CATIA knows that it is a circular sketch and brings up a radial or a diameter dimension. I'm just going to go and delete these two sketches as we don't require them and get back on with the sketching. This time around, I'm going to select the constraint tool, and instead of a single click, I'm going to double click on this icon. When I double click on the constraint icon, what happens is that when I dimension two entities, for example, the distance between the big horizontal line and the shorter horizontal line, and then place the dimension somewhere here with another left click, and then modify the dimension 70 by double clicking on it and changing it to 75. Now this time around, when I change the dimension, I am still in the constraint dimension mode. So I need not go back and click on it one more time and then select another entity. Let's go and dimension the angular distance in between these two entities, and when I select an angled entity and a linear entity, CATIA automatically brings up the angular dimension, and then I can also dimension it in different quadrants. So I can dimension it with respect to these locations, or I can dimension it with respect to these two. And I'm going to go and change this 18 degrees to 25. Similarly, I'm going to do the same on the other side, selecting the slant or the angle line segment and the vertical linear line segment, and make that 25 as well. I can also dimension from a point. So say if I go and hover over this point and left click on it to select it, and I can now dimension the distance in between this point and this vertical line segment, and I'm going to make it 25. Similarly, same on the other side, selecting this point and then selecting the vertical line segment on the right hand side and then making it 25 millimeters. And notice that as I am dimensioning this sketch, the color of the sketch is changing from white to green, and which means that all these entities which are in green are locked and unmovable. But if I go on the white colored entities, and if I hover over them and hold my left mouse click button down, I can change and manipulate their height. And this is because that our sketch at this point is unconstrained. When I fully constrain the sketch, the entire sketch will go green. Now, how would I know if my sketch is constrained or not? There is a very good tool to know that. If I go down at the bottom of the screen on the bottom toolbar, there is this sketch solving status icon. And if I left click on it once, it will tell me that my sketch is under constraint. And it also on the screen where the sketch is, it tells us where exactly it is unconstrained. So those two line segments which are white are now orange, meaning they need to have a dimension on there. If I go and click on this magnifying glass, it goes into the sketch analysis mode, and now it brings up a analysis table telling me exactly what points or line segments are unconstrained. So point 58, line 39, similarly point 62, line 43 are unconstrained. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and dimension the height or the distance from the bottom horizontal line to this horizontal line. And I'm going to double click on the constraint icon one more time, select the bottom line segment, the horizontal one, and I'm going to select the small horizontal line segment, and I can also select the other horizontal line segment at the same time by left clicking on it, and then CATIA will show us its current dimension, and we can go and double click on this 99 dimension and change it to 100 in the constraints definition dialog box. And once I do that, my complete sketch goes green, meaning that my sketch is now completely constrained. And let's double check and ask CATIA if it is completely constrained. And for that purpose, again, I'm going to go to the bottom toolbar, and where it says sketch solving status, I'm going to left click on it, and now it says ISO constrained, meaning that our sketch is now fully constrained.